Okay. Is this turned on? Yeah. Okay, it's 3 o'clock, so we will get started. I want to welcome all of you to the council meeting today. It's so nice to see a lot of citizens in attendance, and I know some of you have a role to play, but we'll welcome you anyway. Everybody on the council is here, and we have a full quorum, including our newest council member, Buck Weatherby. So we welcome Council Member Weatherby, and we really, all of us look forward to working with Buck. So as we always do, the first thing in our council meeting is to have an invocation. And I'm going to call upon Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Jones to lead us in prayer, and then we'll follow that with the pledges of allegiance.
Lord God, we just thank you for the opportunity to come before you, come before our fellow citizens, and do the business of this community. Lord, you give us that opportunity, and we do not take it lightly. I thank you for the families represented in this room. I thank you for the staff that controls the day-to-day activities, for the volunteers, and Lord, for the interest that the people in this community have shown. And most of all, Lord, we thank you so much for the opportunity to govern ourselves in a fair and equitable manner. May we always be considerate of each other's time, each other's feelings, and each other's positions. I ask you this in the name of your Father and his Holy Son. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you so much. We have some recognitions to start out with, some accomplishments from some of our staff members. And Jeff, are you going to, Jeff's searching around for his papers. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So we have a couple of new employees that I'd like to introduce. The first one is JT Cooksley. Is he here? JT, he comes to us from Houston, Texas. He's now living in Marble Falls, Texas. He graduated high school in Port Lavaca, Texas. He has a few years in operating heavy equipment and operating a hydrovac, which is one of the things that we use in our tools. In his spare time, he likes to work out, and we welcome him to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Also, we have an officer, Matthew Ferguson. He's not here today because he's on night shift. And Officer Ferguson graduated from Llano High School. And then after he graduated, he went to Central Texas College. After he started working there or going to school there, he started working for the resort as a loss prevention officer. And in the early part of 2003, he attended Central Texas Police Academy in Killeen while he was working full-time at the resort. A very admirable thing to do. So we welcome him.
Thank you. Just a question. Jason, we've met one new officer today, and we met a new one last week. Have you got all of your positions filled? One more to go. Okay, thank you. Okay, and I think, Jason, you've got a 5-year service award to present.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to present Officer Martin Younger with his 5 years. He started in December of 2019. He currently holds a basic peace officer's license through TCOL. He serves as the department's armorer and a uniform procurement specialist. Martin also instrumental in our mental health consumer program that we have. He and his wife Pam live here in Horseshoe Bay.
Thank you. Congratulations. Yep. Thank you. Congratulations. It's wonderful when we welcome new police officers and employees, but it's also great when we have some that have been around for a while. So we appreciate you. Appreciate your service. Thank you. If we come to the section on our agenda for public comments, we have 3, but they're all associated with an agenda item. So when I get to those agenda items, I'll call upon you for your public comments at that time. Now, presentations, the first thing on our agenda is city presentation of applicants for city boards and commissions. And actually, we are at some of those people that signed up. So Ruth Rector-Wright has applied for a position, or actually she's on the Board of Adjustments as an alternate, but would like to move up to being a permanent member. So thank you, Ruth.
Thank you for having me. My name is Ruth Rector-Wright, and I have been living in Horseshoe Bay since for about 3 years, and I've had a house here since 2014. I am a graduate of the Citizens Academy, and I am applying for a position on the Board of Adjustments. I've been an alternate on the Board of Adjustments over the past year, and I've taken my position very seriously. I have attended almost all the meetings, even if I did not need to. I have driven and walked every single property that has been on the Board of Adjustments agenda. I've also talked to board members and city staff about decisions that needed clarifications. And so I feel like I put in the work to become analytical, and I've become familiar and able to analyze these different decisions. So I feel like that I can come before you as a possible full position for the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does any council members, any of you have any questions for Ruth?
No.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate you being here. And I apologize, I'm a bit confused. Dorothy Hubner, are you? Oh, okay. No, that's okay. What are you here to speak about? I didn't understand. Oh, okay. You're the extension, the permit. Okay, I apologize. I didn't recognize your name. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that when we get there. Thank you. Okay, now we come to Patty Gillian. Patty is a wonderful realtor in Horseshoe Bay and has been very gracious to do some statistics and analysis, and she's going to tell us where we are in the real estate market. So Patty, thank you for this. Council members, you have a handout that Patty gave you.
So just remember, this is the world according to Patty, okay? So I went back and showed you the ending stats for 2023 and where we're going to wrap up in 2024, because I think it's always interesting to see how you did in the previous year. Several things I'd like to point out to you. Currently, right now, in single-family homes, condos, and townhomes, months of inventory is up 30%. We're hovering at almost 14 months, as opposed to 23 when it was a little over 9. So months of inventory, to me, in my world, indicate a slower market. And I think we all know that. So interesting fact, back in the heyday in 21, when I'm not even sure why I'm bringing this up because I'm trying to get people to forget about it, Horseshoe Bay had an inventory of about 2 months. Okay. Days on market went from 153 in 2023 to 114. And talking to title companies, my opinion is that we had more cash sales, which happened quicker because interest rates were so high, or higher.
Makes sense.
And this one is interesting to me. I talk to sellers about it all the time. Close price to list price was down to 88.8%, which screams a buyer's market to me, okay? I've been asked about Thunder Rock. The median price in Thunder Rock is 386,000 as compared to 725,000 in Horseshoe Bay. Our brokerage has done several sales in there. They're nurses, they're teachers, and investors. That's been my experience. 8 sales so far in 2024 in Thunder Rock, but remember that's what was listed in the MLS as opposed to builder sales. Summit, 16 homes have closed in 2024 thus far, with the majority of those in Golden Bear. Median days on market in Summit is 161, and sold prices ranged from 580,000 to 2.65 million. Lot sales. I'm asked a lot about lot sales. Currently, there are 372 lots on the market in Horseshoe Bay, ranging from 12,000 to 3.5 million. Median days on the market is about 6 months. Median sales price is about 75,000. Lot sales are much slower because there are more lots on the market, and that number is growing all the time. Just to go back to the heyday that I want you to forget about, there were 179 lots on the market in 2021. And lastly, new construction. 59 new construction homes are currently on the market in Horseshoe Bay with a median price of $1.25 million. Median days on the market is 144. And that concludes my report.
Oh, Patty, in looking at November 2023 compared to 2024, the median price in 2023 was 515,000 and it went up to 910,000. Is that an anomaly based on some huge sale of a house or something?
I think, no, to be honest with you, I think the migration, the most popular price point selling in Horseshoe Bay has migrated from that 750 to $1 million to $1 million to $500,000. So
okay.
The most sales in that particular price point are going up.
Interesting. Well, thank you and very much. Appreciate it. Very
my
interesting.
pleasure.
Council members, do you have any questions for Patty? Appreciate the information. And
My pleasure.
if you all want to see any of this, Patty gave us a list and I'll be happy to share it with you if any of you want to see it after you leave. Okay. The next item on our agenda is Rio Broadband Fiber Internet Expansion Update. Jeff, are you going to provide that for us?
I was looking for Fred.
Okay, good.
So Fred is our contractor that's putting in internet fiber across the city. We're utilizing ARPA funds to do that, and so he has an update on the progress to date.
And thank you to the council for the invitation to come speak today. Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Down, we'll move forward to the next slide.
Okay,
You
yeah.
don't have to use this to get your video to play.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
We get a lot of questions about this, so I wanted to
Sure.
get you up here so that you could answer our questions and maybe we can answer the citizens' questions.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we are doing business in the Horseshoe Bay area under Rio Fiber. Rio Fiber is going to be, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Rio Broadband. We remarketed it or rebranded it. Just it's a little bit easier when we were trying to do some of our social media campaigns and advertising. So that's why the name change. So that's what I just said here. Rio Fiber, we're a subsidiary of Rio Broadband LLC. I'm the founder of the company. We're a Central Texas-based family-owned business. I founded the broadband companies in 2005, and we provide internet services in rural communities such as yourself, plus other counties in Texas, Atascosa, Bear, Burnett, Crane, Ector County, Llano, of course, and Midland counties. We emphasize the importance of customer service. for a service-based company, and we could have the best product in the world, but if we don't take care of our customers, they're going to find another solution. So we strive to do cutting edge technology and no contracts. All right, so then we're going to switch to this here.
If you're tired of outdated internet service, There's good news for the residents of Horseshoe Bay. Rio Fiber is bringing blazing fast fiber optic internet to your neighborhood. That means TV and internet service at the speed of light. You'll finally be able to enjoy seamless streaming, ultra-fast downloads, effortless gaming, and unrivaled reliability. You get it all without annual contracts. Rio Fiber is a family-owned Central Texas enterprise delivering award-winning technology with a level of service you can rely on. So if you're ready to move beyond slow internet speeds, service hassles, and weather outages, just call the number on screen or scan the QR code for the alternative you've been waiting for. Rio Fiber. Go with the flow. Scan the QR code right now.
Okay, so that gives
Well,
us.
first I have to ask you, is the Starship Enterprise going to be landing here in Horseshoe Bay?
It very well could. We're trying to keep the drones away, though, that
Okay.
that are plaguing the East Coast.
Yeah, we would prefer that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Nope, hang on a sec. There we go. All right, so let me go over a little bit of terminology so that when I start throwing acronyms out, everybody knows what it is we're talking about. So fiber in the context of telecommunications refers to fiber optic cable, which we're putting into the ground and in the air. It's a type of communication medium that transmits data using light signals. It's the backbone of modern high-speed internet and communication networks due to its exceptional speed, capacity, and reliability. The backbone, which is what the city contracted us to put in, is the core infrastructure of the fiber optic network. It serves as the main data highway transporting high-capacity traffic between different parts of the network or from a central office to distribution points in an FTTH deployment. FTTH is a fiber to the home. That's what we'll ultimately be doing for the residents of Horseshoe Bay. It's the installation of fiber optic cables directly to the home and individual residences and businesses. The technology that we're going to be using is XGS-PON, which stands for 10 gigabit symmetrical passive optical network. And so that is the latest and greatest technology for fiber to the home applications. And the beauty of once we have fiber in the ground, in 10 years, let's say, or 5 years, something better comes along, we just upgrade either end of the connection, the glass or the fiber remains the same and really allows us to scale and grow in the future and develop that. All right, so the city of Horseshoe Bay and Rio Fiber, we have a public-private partnership in our eyes. You guys received ARPA money, or American Rescue Plan Act funds, to build infrastructure within the city limits. We're building currently an 18-mile fiber backbone to connect 15 city facilities across Horseshoe Bay. The city is going to be able to run multiple private networks across that to interconnect crucial city operations such as video surveillance, phone service, and data services. The data services can be further broken down between internet data, private data between the city facilities, and the SCADA monitoring systems for the water. And then while we're doing this, we're installing excess capacity to connect businesses and residents to the high-speed, ultra-reliable internet access. Here's the route that we're doing currently. And what we've got done so far is, so going from the middle of the map up at the top is Ferguson Power Plant, which was one of the locations we were going to cover. We've built from there all the way down to the intersection of 2147 and High Circle South. Then we went west down to Bay West, and we actually took a little bit of a detour and actually went through Pecan Creek because of the conditions of the road on Bay West. We didn't want to go tearing up the decorative concrete that was there. It's hard to match, and it just would cause, and there's a lot of traffic there too. So we've been trying to do things to minimize impact to the citizens while we're building this network.
So So did you go down Tory Lane, or how did you get behind?
We went down,
Starbucks?
yes, ma'am, down Torrey to Creek to Pecan Crossing, then Pecan Crossing all the way to Bay West.
Okay.
So that changes a little bit of that shape there, but then we went all the way down. We've gotten all the way down to Bay West. We turn on Florentine, go down Florentine, and we're at the intersection of Bay West, Douglas, and Florentine now with the backbone. Our crew is going to continue on. They actually yesterday started doing the Broken Hills section of it, which will go toward the fire station and the other water tower that's over there. Everything that we're putting in right now is all conduit. So we do have fiber in the ground from High Circle South here, from here all the way up to Ferguson. That fiber is in and it's lit, and we're ready to actually start servicing customers along that High Circle North and West, along I guess it would be the west side.
So that's the Fairview community.
That's the edge of it. Yes, ma'am. So everywhere else we've got conduits going in the ground. And the reason for that is because we use microducts and microfibers. So the microducts are about the diameter of your microphone, if you can imagine that. And then the fiber that goes within that is only about 0.8 of a millimeter in size. It's a 3 millimeter opening. And so, and then down Bay West, we have a 16 millimeter backbone that will handle higher capacity fibers. Once we get all of those done on the west side of Horseshoe Bay, let's see here, I think I've got a timeline. So we're in January of 25, we're scheduled to complete the installation of all the Horseshoe Bay West leg of the conduits. And so when I talk about those conduits, those are going to fire, water, the reclamation center, and the Lackawanna and water treatment areas. So we're scheduling to complete that in January of 25. We're also in January, we're adding a second micro trenching team. So we'll actually have 2 sets of trenchers out there and vacuums that are going along through the roads. And then we'll start the High Circle South leg of the backbone and begin installation of fiber in the actual Horseshoe Bay West conduits. So those will all be separate teams that are doing that. Then in February, the backbone fiber installation splicing will be continued. The continuation of High Circle South leg, which is the High Circle South leg, is the leg this isn't, there's actually a gap in here, but it comes along High Circle South all the way back down to 2147, and then it splits and it goes over to towards Thanksgiving Mountain, and then back towards the Ferguson Road. Some of that will be aerial that we're doing there.
So that's not on, that doesn't show on the map. Right?
That's my mistake.
Okay.
I grabbed the wrong map when I put that in, and I just caught that. So
Okay.
I'll get you guys a revised. I can email you or email Jeff, and he can forward it to
Yeah,
you.
because we do want to put it on the website.
Yes. Okay, and then so at that point in February is when we're looking at beginning to connect residential subscribers that are actually directly along the backbone path, not counting the High Circle North and West, because that one's ready to go already. And so it's, providing that we get any interest on there. I think we had 3 or 4 people just pre-sign up by seeing us in the streets there. And then March of this coming year, we'll have the completion of High Circle South leg done, and then begin installation of the city's actual network. And then additional residential subscribers along that path will be connected. In April of this coming year, we'll be completely through with the fiber to all the city locations, and that fiber should be lit and operational at that point. At that point, then we can focus all of our efforts on the citizens and their residences, going to those. Then from there, where do we build next? So what we've done is we've identified zones within the community, and we identified those using a heat map of where the highest density of homes are. We're a private, doing this part of the project, we're privately funded. We're doing all this out of our own cash flow and investment resources. So what we're doing is we're looking at the highest density areas, and then we're prioritizing zones with higher density to maximize that initial deployment impact. And then we have interest level within the zones. So we measure their interest through the pre-install that some of the residents have already seen and signed up, surveys and historical inquiries where they're calling us and we're taking their name or going and having them fill out. We have kind of like a reservation system at this point now. And then we'll focus on zones with high demand to ensure the swift uptake and our return on investment. So that's, and then I'll show you the heat map next, but that's not to say that we will necessarily do the highest density area first. So it's really high density areas where we've seen the most interest. And we kind of do that in a first come, first served basis. So the projector is not really doing us justice here, but what we have is we've got 4 different areas from sparse to high density. The sparse areas is the Horseshoe Bay South and the airport area and some of the Summit Rock areas. And then over on the west side, which is, I believe that's the hills over there. And then going through, we have, as yellow is our lower density areas, and then medium and high. The purple areas are gated communities, and we really couldn't get a good, Google Earth really doesn't give us a good feel for how many homes or how dense an area may or may not be.
Have you talked to the people in Escondido, though? Have you spoken?
Yes, ma'am. They've actually reached out to us. They're in some kind of contract dispute with their current provider and may want us to take over that existing system. But there's a bunch of legal stuff that has to be worked out there. So we'll see what happens on that.
Question for you. Do you have
Yes.
a pointer that you can kind of use? So
Is that a,
The star on your clicker
Uh-huh.
that has a green point.
Okay.
yeah, that.
oh,
would
I
kinda-
just asked Adrian if we.
Okay. Yeah, so what I was talking about earlier, that's Horseshoe Bay South, the airport area, Summit Rock, and then the hills. Escondido's here in the middle. The trails over here. I didn't even know that the trails was part of the actual Horseshoe Bay city limits. So that, learned something new.
So how close are you getting to the trails with your, I call it the trunk line for,
So our backbone will stop right there. So we're pretty close. And on this area here, we can go aerial along that area. That's another state highway, and we have the ability to go into. We have right of ways in the state highways as well as right of ways with you guys. So if there's interest there, we can definitely look into it. But just at the time, there's just an area that we hadn't looked into. Applehead Island is another area that just actually as of this morning, I got an email from one of their property owners association members, asking to start a dialogue there. Jeff and I have driven through there, and the issue I see there is it's all concrete roads, a lot of decorative stuff. From what I'm hearing from some of the residents is that they could care less about the decorative road and they'd rather have fiber. But it comes at an additional expense to us because cutting through solid concrete roads versus asphalt roads is a slower and much more expensive process. They do say they have 2-inch conduits on the island, but I've yet to see them. So I'm going to schedule a time to go out there and we'll go look at that. that area. The areas in white, that's not part of the city limits. And then this is a utility easement. Sorry about my shaky there. But that's a power easement from LCRA. And then, of course, we have the highest density areas, which is Matern Island and that area there, the peninsula. Is it the peninsula or lighthouse area? Sorry. And then directly around the resort. So that's kind of where we've identified the opportunities to be. But then, like I said, what we're doing is we're creating zones within all of these areas. Another example of something that I've mentioned before is the Pecan Creek area is directly on the new backbone, and they had conduits that were exposed, and I mean it's already we'd actually already put all of our sub conduits within there, and as soon as we are able to light up that segment, we'll be able to light them up as when I say light, I mean turn the fiber on and connect them as customers. So we've had we had the highest response of any neighborhood so far in that area. So and then another one
cell
was,
coverage, they'd really be happy.
what's that?
If you could get them cell phone coverage, they'd really be happy.
Well, that's Wi-Fi offload.
Mhm.
If you have good, decent internet connections in your house, then you can turn the Wi-Fi. My house in San Antonio is like walking into a cave. I just cannot get cell signal at all. But the Wi-Fi calling really helps with that issue. Any questions on this before I move?
Fred, I think it's important. Go back to your high circle. People need to understand that initially when you turn people on, they will be strictly on high circle north. It won't be streets off of high circle.
That's correct. So
I think people need to understand.
Yeah, let me go back to this right here. So that orange line, it goes like, so this line here, it goes up and across, is on the west side and north side of the street.
Right.
So we won't be doing any road cuts to cross over to the east side and the south side of those streets until we finish our obligation with the city.
So I think that's important that people understand that these will be people that they can just turn on very quickly. Anything that requires addition will not be done until they complete the obligation to the city.
Yeah. So we've had like the Pecan Crossing area or Pecan Creek area.
That's different.
We did it. We went in and did a little bit of investigation, found the conduits were there, and literally scheduled that work to be done when we had maintenance issues or on times when it's raining or just construction delays. We've identified a couple of other little pockets that are like that, and they are also directly on the backbone. And I've talked to Jeff about that, and he's like, as long as you don't go off into the woods, we're good.
That's the main thing. I just want to make sure people realize until the obligation to the city is complete, any going up side streets, that won't stop. That won't happen until after the city's.
Correct.
Okay, council members, did y'all have some questions?
Yeah, actually, we did. We get a lot of questions from citizens as to when will my house be lit?
Mm-hmm.
And so, reading your schedule here, it
Yes,
looks
sir.
like you start that process in April of 2025. Am I
That's
correct?
correct.
Yes. So that's when we'll be April of 25 is when we'll be full time working on nothing but the residents' side of connecting things. The reason we added a second crew and bought additional equipment is so that we can finish our obligation to the city quicker. And then there will also be times where we just you can't run contiguous two crews at the same time. So we may be able to go down and do a small pocket, like I was explaining to Frank, that one of these just little pockets. But April is when we're looking at really just going full bore. So what we'd like to do from now until March is start getting the response, the feedback from the citizens. And we've got a website that's ready to do that. It already breaks them down. It knows what zones they're in and so on and so forth. And that way, as we start going further, and I'm open to advice from you guys as to what you think we should do timeline wise. But what we could do is, we could at the end of each month, January, February, March, say, here's the zones that are looking like they're going to be coming first. And that way and then stuff will start to fall into place as far as an actual schedule. Because once we get
Right
in.
now, how are you determining interest? You said you've got interest from several different areas.
Mhm.
How are they communicating that interest to you?
So they're seeing our trucks on the road. They're seeing our crew on the streets. And what they'll actually do is come by and stop one of our workers and say, "Hey, are we getting fiber?" And they just start a dialogue. And my guys have something like this for people today. They've got a notice that says construction's coming, or fiber's beginning, that kind of thing. And what they've got now are these, which is just the packages with a QR code, a website, and a number to call. So if they go onto this QR code here, that directs them to an area to enter their address, put their name, contact information, and we're not asking for any kind of big commitment on stuff, but it's basically which one would you be interested in if you were interested. And so that's how we're getting that. And then it's, like I said, it's broken down into these zones. And we've done subzones within these for different streets.
Before you put that away, does that have the pricing on there?
Yes.
So what is the range of pricing?
So it starts at $70 per month for 1 gigabit service. And that's 1 gigabit up and 1 gigabit down. And then it goes to, I believe it's on here as well, 2 gig, 5 gig, and 8 gig service.
Who could possibly need
Well-
any more than that?
Let me make sure people understand. The best computers right now maybe can handle 50 meg. So 1 gig is it's over the top, but that's become the kind of the benchmark right now. So unless you are a major gamer and have 90 people on a computer at the same time, but the majority of the people here, it's husband and wife, 1 gig is all you need.
So that's 70, or would you say 70 or 79?
70.
And we don't do crypto mining here, so we won't need that.
Yeah. So,
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yes.
Did I understand you right saying that the only way people are able to express interest now if they're riding along and they see somebody working and they take the effort to get out? To me, it would be better. Do you have couldn't you send out a mailer to everybody?
Well,
yes, we've got. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Okay. We're going to do an article. Yep. Dan and we'll be involved with doing a series of articles, which will give them the Rio website, and people will be able to respond based on that and get on his list. That's how they'll build this. And based on, he showed the map, based on the response rates by area, will determine where they will spend the money. The most important thing to remember here is through the ARPA money, we got the city facilities taken care of. After that, the city's no longer involved. Then it's all on his dollar. And his dollar, he will spend his money based on response rates by these zones that he's set up.
And we
It's
do
set up.
have other providers
Yes.
in the city. So, I mean, as much as we appreciate you being here, we can't take a position of,
No.
Playing favorites.
recommending
Yeah.
one provider, because, we've got our towers that we put up, and
Sure.
BGI and Zcon are on those, as
Sure.
well as a lot of people have
Sure.
Starlink. So we really appreciate it, and we wish you well. But I agree,
Yeah.
you need to.
Yeah, we plan
that,
on. We just didn't want to get the cart before the horse.
This isn't your
And-
first rodeo,
Yes,
obviously.
ma'am. We met with Jeff and Frank early on and said we didn't want to generate a bunch of interest, and then it takes 9 months to a year before they ever see anything happen, because that interest will wane, and we'll have to resell it or re-engage that interest level
Absolutely. True.
again.
Okay.
But we do plan on doing mailers, advertising, billboards. We're going to be hitting social media. You name it. Whatever the city, what we wanted to do, yard signs and door hangers, and we're obeying all your laws. We're respectful of your community, so we ask you guys for permission instead of begging for forgiveness. So
Appreciate that.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Jeff, did you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to say this is a culmination of many years of work by Frank, Hosea, and the crew that was working the committee on the internet, and a lot of work with Fred to get it to this point. And I'm really happy to say that, with what we're doing today, and we're locking down a couple more contracts on the consent agenda for them to expand capacity within the city, some additional locations, and also to connect the city's fiber up. But we spent pretty much 100% of the $1 million that we received from Llano County. And so we're moving forwards with this as one of the things that I really am kind of proud that we're getting accomplished.
Yep, absolutely.
I might add real quick that the city, by doing this, was really, with that ARPA money, was really a catalyst. We had talked about building here and investing in Horseshoe Bay for several years already. Our investment in the city is going to hit about $7 million by the time we're complete to build this network out. And getting the city to kind of give a little bit of a kickstart to it, to say, well, hey, if we were to cover from one end to the other type of thing. Originally, the spec for the quote was for only 6 locations or something, and we bumped it to 15 because we own our own construction equipment and our construction teams, so we didn't need to make money on building your part of the project. We just needed to not lose money on it. From that point on, then it's on us to develop
Well,
it.
this is a great example of a public-private partnership, and it's something that our community's really been asking for, because so many people are working from home now, and they need good internet. And I will just echo what Jeff said. Frank has just worked himself almost.
He was 2
Well, he
inches
couldn't
taller
take off.
before this started.
He was 2 inches taller when he started.
It's a long process.
Well,
So-
Frank, we really appreciate everything you've done. It has really paid off for the city.
I'll cut it a little short here, just because I know you guys' time is valuable. So the benefit to the city, to the community, is lightning fast internet and future proof on the future services. Enhanced digital experience to where you can reliably stream and do everything you want to do, like you said, work from home. And moreover, studies have shown that this fiber to the home in communities actually increases property values around 3%. So we're talking about the real estate side of things. A fiber fed home versus a non-fiber fed home can usually get, whatever, that extra money is. So with that, there's the prices that we set. I brought some of these. I can just leave them here for people to pick up if they'd like. And thank you guys for your
Thank you.
time.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, I don't think anybody else, I think we've all asked our questions, yes? Okay. We'll move on, and now I'm very excited. We've got Rusty Stout here. Who is Rusty next on there? Yeah. The Land Use and Development, no, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not Rusty. Land Use and Development Advisory Committee. That's Rick. Are you doing that?
Ruben is.
Oh, gosh,
Ruben's good.
Ruben.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of Brett.
I
know, I'm the
appreciate
mayor.
the
I
anonymity.
just replaced
If,
you apparently.
People don't like what said it was Rusty or Rick. It
Yeah.
wasn't Ruben.
You know what? I
But,
apologize. These guys, let me just say, these guys have worked themselves crazy. And this was one of the things I promised to do a year ago. And I was at their meeting yesterday, so I was just reading this wrong and getting it wrong. But Ruben Fetchner has chaired this committee, and we've got Mark Knudsen and Willie Reinders. And I don't see anybody else that's on your committee here,
No,
but
they
they
chose
had
to
a
take
great
vacation.
committee. They've worked really hard, and they have included their presentation for y'all to see, and it's outstanding. So thank you so much,
And before I start,
Rusty,
Rick,
Rick, Willie, whatever. Yeah.
whatever my wife calls me all kind of things, but Fred, please don't tell the Llano County Appraisal District about the 3% increase in the value of my property. They've already got my number. Okay, so thank you all, the mayor, city council, city staff, neighbors, friends. Got some friends in the audience, and yes, Willie and Mark are both here today. And I'd like to make a couple of opening comments before I get into the short presentation. First, I'm on behalf of the committee, pleased and proud to announce to you the Land Use Development Advisory Committee has completed the commissioning assignment that you gave us earlier this year, and it's held in the report. Secondly, I'd like to thank the mayor and the city council for taking this kind of approach, actually asking the residents, what would we like to see and what would we not like to see in our future? And so that is a city that I'm proud to be part of and to live in. So thank you all very much for taking that approach. I would like to make a couple of comments about what the committee did, because I think it helps as you look at the recommendations in terms of how we thought about it, and hopefully you'll feel the credibility of what I'm describing. So there's three words, diligence, effectiveness, and efficiency, that I describe the committee with. In terms of diligence, as an example, we knew that engaging the community was our critical success factor. We knew we would not provide any value whatsoever if there wasn't a high awareness and engagement of the community. The mayor held several president POA meetings that we were able to participate in. The city helped us with articles in the Beacon. I'm sure many of you read those. You probably got Dan's alerts along the survey time frame. Mark wrote some stuffers in your utility bill. To get interested after the meeting, if anybody ever read those, but we tried to leave every stone not unturned. And we think we were effective because we actually, Mark also wrote letters to the ETJ, and the city sent those to all the ETJ landowners so that we could interview them. We were able to interview 55 plus people. So great receptivity to a lot of folks wanting to spend an hour and a half with all of us, I'm sure. But we're really pleased with the folks that spent that time with us. We got over 1,000 responses on the survey. And most of you probably don't know, we got 300 written comments, 16 typed pages of written comments. If that's not community engagement, I don't know what is. Another level of effectiveness that I hope brings real credibility for everybody and the integrity of the report is, as we were going through the interview process, we found about halfway through that there weren't new themes occurring. In other words, the later interviews were complementary and actually somewhat repetitive in a good way from what we saw at the beginning. And there was no order to the interviews. This isn't something we orchestrated. And certainly the interviews, nobody spoke. I don't know if you spoke to anybody else about your feedback to us, but I don't believe any of the folks got together and collaborated on what are we going to share with the LUDAC committee. So very pleased that we believe we got a very good, complete view from the interviews. Further, when you look at the survey results, which are included in your packet right after the interview summaries, those results very much corroborated the feedback that we got in our interviews, all the way up and down the survey questions. For those of you, I'm sure all of you took the survey. I know Jeff did. He told me he did. So, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Yes, thanks for that. But there was great corroboration. And then when you read the written comments, which we included in the packet for you as well, another just underscore corroboration of all the feedback that we received. So we feel we have a very strong, broad view of the sentiments, both pro and con, of what people are and are not interested in seeing in our future. So we feel very good about that. We've provided all that to you so you can hold us accountable. You can read all of that data and then look at our recommendations. Our intention was to entirely reflect the community and place none of our own personal input other than we took the survey, and that was our chance to provide our input. So I'm very pleased with the diligence and the effectiveness. In terms of efficiency, there's a map, I think, on your packet, page 24, which isn't easily read in the PDF. And I think, Jeff, we were going to provide the council a link to the digital version. But that map contains a view of lots that are for sale, as well as areas that are in some form of the development process. And I don't know, for those of y'all that have been here for a while, if you've seen that much activity at one time. And so we knew there was a time element to what we were trying to accomplish. So in less than 9 months, concluding today, we completed our report. One other thing I would share with you about the survey, for those of you that took it, you may remember at the beginning, there were questions that we called perspective questions. Are you an ETJ resident or an Horseshoe Bay resident? Are you a full-time Horseshoe Bay resident or part-time? Are you a member of the resort or are you not a member of the resort? And what we did is we took all the survey data by each of those pairs. So we laid out the survey data for full-time and part-time and looked at them side by side. A resort member, non-resort member. And for both of those pairings, the results were almost identical. It was very interesting to see, and I think this is good news for the community, that there was not a lot of divergence in terms of how people describe the city. So the survey result that is the aggregate, which is all combined, actually represents fundamentally what you would see if you took the pair of full-time and part-time, resort and non-resort. You see very little difference. And that's in terms of what they prioritize, that they would like to have, not like to have, how they describe the city. The ETJ residents had a few differences. They would describe this area in that question as a lake community, whereas Horseshoe Bay residents would describe this community as a lifestyle destination, followed by resort, followed by lake. And it makes sense based on just where people are living and why they're living in the area that they did. But there were very, very many corollary common grounds. I think we should feel good about that going forward. So I think that's good news. If we can then briefly look at our recommendations, the first thing that we provided to y'all in the recommendations section is a couple of what we call guiding principles. Guiding principles should be something we believe to be true. And by definition, it would guide our thinking and our decision making. And this first guiding principle is probably the best we could do to summarize all of the feedback. And it's something that going forward, as development plans and concepts are considered, this could be a plumb line against which we could ask ourselves, are we violating any of these principles as we try to move forward with our comprehensive plan and potential future development? We heard resoundingly clearly the first part of this guiding principle, that we want to foster and maintain the beauty and charm of the hill country and the uniqueness of our destination lifestyle resort community. We heard that repeatedly in the interviews. We saw it in the written comments, and that is how the area describes itself as a lifestyle destination resort community. So that's a bedrock foundation cornerstone. However, there are people that would say the best way to do that is to do no development. There is that contingent among us. There are others that say, there are some things that we would like to see in our future, but we still want to maintain the beauty and the charm and the attractiveness of why we all moved to Horseshoe Bay. We'd also like help minimizing the things that we shared in our results that we don't desire. And always we're managing our water usage and our traffic. So as you think about potential plans of the future, this is a plumb line of sorts. We can ask ourselves, am I in line with what the city said if we were to develop what I might desire? Is this something that we don't desire? What is the impact on water? What is the impact on traffic? And so we just share that with you to keep that in front of you as development ideas and concepts come forward. The second guiding principle is one that I mentioned earlier for the LUDAC committee, is that the community engagement is critical. That's what's going to make us successful. I loved Ruth's resume. It sounds like a lot of the people on the committee that are very engaged, very, very thoughtful. There's no hidden agenda. We're just trying to do the right thing and help each other out. And so the community engagement is going to make us better. Obviously, we realize our survey had 13 questions. Although we got almost 300 written comments, we did get a lot of feedback. We got 20 pages of interview notes. We still don't have all of the specifics down when you get to a real development plan. And we know the devil is in the details. So we would suggest that the city continue, as you do today, to include the community in the development process And look, Jeff, as you go forward with a comprehensive plan on further ways that we can include the community in what's occurring on a regular basis, we think that would be very healthy and helpful. In terms of the recommendations themselves, again, we won't have a lot of time to go through these, but I will offer we're available to participate in your working session in January or your comprehensive plan sessions, Jeff, if you should choose to have that be helpful. If not, we're glad to be complete with our activity, but we're glad to help going forward if that's helpful. And what we tried to do is when we wrote the recommendations, again, we took in all of the interviews, the survey data, and the written comments, and we tried to apply that guiding principle. And we wrote this a little bit as kind of a word picture. So if you were to think about what this might look like in the future, we tried to write the recommendations in that terms. And I know in speaking with Jeff that he's going to take that into the comprehensive plan to actually ultimately create a visual of what this could look like. And so the picture would probably be more clarifying for folks than the actual words we wrote. But for example, if you look at commercial development, fundamentally, people would say we don't want any more commercial development on 2147 because of traffic. If we're to do commercial development, 71, south of 71 and the E2J, that would be a preferred location. And if we can move it closer to Marble Falls, that would be preferred still. And so as you move east along 71, there's probably more acceptability of commercial retail development, and certainly partnering with Marble Falls to provide the big box stores and the retail outlets our density wouldn't justify anyway, I think would be a win-win scenario. Conversely, with residential, as you move to the west over to 2147, that would prefer to be more heavily residential. And in the residential section, what was prioritized the most was the large lots, the very large lots. And what that is in sync with is a number one green space and recreational areas. So that the city again is telling us we want to maintain the beauty of what we have today. So even if it is residential, start with the biggest lots. And I think we included the trails as an example of what that might look like and how it also has wonderful amenities for the residents of that community. Now, as you move into the east, you could feather in some mixed use commercial with residential behind that. And then in all cases, we're recommending the creation of an image corridor along the south side of 71 so that as you drive by, it still looks like the beauty of the hill country. And I think if we do a good job of maintaining that, you kind of get the win-win. You get that guiding principle of we're maintaining beauty, but we're also meeting some of the desires of the community going forward. Lastly, we gave you the development priorities, and those came right out of the survey. So you have the top three that we've listed for you. There are 5 or 6 that ranked in the middle. I'll talk about those briefly. And then you have the 2 or 3 at the bottom, which are the storage and the self-storage and the high density kind of housing. The ones in the middle are another reason we believe that engagement guiding principle is important. So for example, in the middle was fuel stations, vehicle service, right? And the way we describe that in the report is that would be dependent upon 2 variables, location and volume of that type of development. So for example, the community might support a fuel station further to the east on 71, and they might support 1, but they might not support 2. They might not prefer it at 2147. So those items in the middle are going to require a fair amount of discussion to determine where is the optimal placement and when have we actually saturated the desire that someone said, hey, I'd be interested in a grocery store or fuel. But that's just another example where the ongoing engagement is required. Water and traffic, I know the city is highly focused on that. You actually have another committee whose primary focus is to take care of traffic, but we just got a lot of feedback on that, so we provided you our perspective on those as well. And then we got some extra credit. We gave ourselves extra credit for it anyway. These weren't things we were necessarily looking for in terms of land use future, but the citizens provided this as feedback. There is legal risk related to ETJ jurisdiction. It may, in the legislature, completely cease to exist, and that erodes the city's ability to influence what's developed. So we agree with what the city would like to do to engage the citizenry in working with our legislators to help them understand how we are unique from other cities in Texas. ETJ risk. This is actually the landowners. There's many landowners that told us, I can't afford to run this as a gentleman's farm, or I bought it for investment and I do plan to develop. So you've got a group though that also says, I plan to stay here until I go to the next place in life, and it's up to my descendants. There are some that want to keep it as a conservation easement, which is fabulous because that means it will permanently be green. And so one of the things the city I know is working on is, the mayor told us yesterday, they're going to set up a meeting with residents in the ETJ to start to develop that relationship, expose them to example conservation easements. If more folks would consider a conservation easement, that obviously would keep the area green. Community engagement risk, we talked about that. That's where we share that we'd really like an ongoing increased engagement. There was some written comments that said there are some concerns about the risk of the architectural controls. And lastly, some feedback regarding what's occurring today between the Horseshoe Bay POA and the resort. And we make some recommendations, not specific to that instance, but actually stepping back as we look at our long-range comprehensive plan and consider, are there areas of responsibilities among the city, the ACCs, the resort, and the POAs that might benefit from a realignment? Roads today are an example where the city steps in and helps. And so we believe there's opportunity to get together and look at a principle-based conversation for the benefit of the community long range, and think that would fit well, Jeff, into your comprehensive plans. So those are all of the comments I plan to share. I'm glad if there's a burning question or clarification that you'd like from Willie, Mark, or myself, we're glad to do that. Otherwise, this is our report for your internalization and ideally adoption into the comprehensive plan.
Thank you so much, Ruben. And yes, this will be included in our comprehensive plan. It's a very important piece, along with other things that we're doing, asset management. But we really appreciate the feedback you got, the way that you digested it and summarized it for us, and I think it'll be really helpful. And I'll give the council members a chance to ask you questions if you all have them. Frank, do you have any?
The only thing I was going to say is great job. I mean, this clearly, it's easy to speculate what you think it's going to look like. This becomes the basis for us to move forward. So I appreciate all your guys' efforts.
Very much agree. Larry or Elaine?
I looked at that report, a lot of information there, and it took a long time to get through it. But the more I looked, the more I learned. So thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.
We learned a lot too.
I felt like the report was absolutely wonderful, and it added clarity. So when I have people talk to me about what's going on and they call because, oh my gosh, they're building X, Y, and Z, then this kind of clarifies for me what the big picture looks like, and it gives me a basis on which to say it's okay. That's
Thank you.
important.
Agree. Jeff?
I'm going to say ditto to all of those, but I'm also going to say thank you for including the 300 comments, because in reading through those, I could see the outliers versus the real crux of the community. And it was very, very clear what you guys went through. And also, I want to apologize for some of the comments that said you had some kind of hidden agenda on this thing.
Well, what we recognize, Jeff, is I think a lot of folks did not see the no option. We didn't call it out. We said you can rank it. And so it implied that we were suggesting these are all good ideas.
Okay.
So I took it with that grain of perspective, because I know I talked to people who said I didn't see the no option. The written comment said I didn't see the no option or the NA option. Yeah. And so we really did want people to vote no for things that they didn't want. So that was I think a little bit of a disappointment.
But very clear. I appreciate it. You guys worked hard and you finished on time. Would you like to now do some other projects?
Wow.
What about you?
Willie signed up for one.
Buck, do you have anything to add?
I just, being new here, I would also like to ditto. Seems like you guys did a tremendous amount of work, and as you're sitting here giving the report, I think back to 1999, moved from Dallas to the hill country as I knew it. Thought Austin was the place to be, and it was no different than Dallas till we got out to Lakeway, and then all of a sudden it opened up, and it just looked like you just jumped into a good California, not the bad California. But I mean, there were scattered housings in the hill country, and I'm sure the people in 1999 had a plan, and they probably worked hard, but in 20 years. They just got overrun. It's just no different than Dallas or Austin or anything else. And I think that's going to be the challenge here. I mean, you can't tell people that own land that what they can and can't do. You can just manage it. And it looks like you guys are doing a really good job, and women too, if they're on the committee. So y'all are all guys.
And thank you so much. And finally, Jeff Koska has worked really closely with them, attended a lot of meetings hand in hand. Jeff, is there anything you want to add at this point?
Yes. This was started out kind of as a way to get to know ourselves. I've been here for 26 years, and so I kind of know the community. I know what's true to the heart, but we needed it to be spoken to. And you spoke to the public input part of that. This is really kind of our first cut in the comprehensive plan to really kind of learn what the community wants. We got a lot of good responses. It pretty much lined up what I thought it was. And for a city manager and for the staff, it really does, even for the future councils, it gives us the guidance that we need, that we can stand on so we can say, this is what we want. And you're right. We have the legal challenges of, it's my property, I want to do this. But it is our job as the staff to try to figure out how to protect our community in that way. And so this is kind of the beginning of that. It's the beginning of our first comprehensive plan that we've actually had on the ground for our community. It's for our future for the next 20 years. And I thought it was a great start. And I can't say enough about the smarts that we have in our community with these guys and all of the abilities and their understanding and taking it from coming in to saying, not knowing all the pieces to it and me kind of giving them the pieces and then taking off and really coming out with a great recommendation plan. So Thank you.
Good
Thanks for your help.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks,
you so
Adrian.
much to all of you for all the hard work you did. We really appreciate it. It gives us confirmation that we're heading the right direction on some things, and it gives us some ideas of what we need to do. So we really appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Now I get to the Building Regulations Advisory Committee report with Rusty Stout. This was another.
After hearing his, I wish you would have called me first.
Yeah. Well, the great thing, Rusty, is the report that we just heard. If you go through these comments, there were a lot of comments about the exact topic that you're going to be talking
read 'em.
about. Yeah.
There won't
So-
be any comments about restricting building in our presentations.
Well, understood.
But we're going to help.
Okay, thank you. We're really talking about builder conduct and bringing our codes up to the state rules.
Yeah. And so I appreciate it, Mayor. Appreciate it, Council, for first forming this committee and then also appointing such a great team. I see Tom is here and have Ryan Town here. The other guys, I guess, like Rufus, they're on vacation too. So we took it really serious. And like our other clients, our timeline was quite truncated, and we were asked to do our work quicker than what we thought, but I think we got it done, and then we plan to continue on with some more recommendations for some discipline and streamlining development services. But for today, this is mainly about the I-codes. So I'll go ahead and get started. So, right, for y'all's benefit, I-codes are International Building Code. So the purpose of the committee, also known as BRAC, was formed with the purpose to act in an advisory role to City Council. We're going to be providing recommendations to you guys regarding building regulations in Horseshoe Bay city limits and ETJ. We promote community input and involvement and advocate for the voices and interests of Horseshoe Bay community on building regulation matters. The committee will complete the goals and responsibilities outlined in the committee's charter and as directed by council. The members are myself as chairman, Terry Neiman, vice chair, Ryan Towns, secretary, Tom Clausen with Westway Builders, Greg Frazier, and Sam Drago with the ACC. Our objective was to evaluate the current I-codes and identify the risk involved with moving the city to more current I-codes. A comprehensive review and analysis of potential financial impacts to the community, develop recommendations for updates, revisions, and or additions to the I-codes for adoption, and ensure proposed changes align with municipal goals, community needs, legal requirements, and stakeholder implementation. So we engaged with key stakeholders, including ATS, who does all of our inspections on construction. We worked with code enforcement staff. We worked with development services staff quite a bit. David, Rick, and Roy were instrumental in helping us with this. We utilized data analysis and comparative studies to address assess the outcome of the updating to the modern codes. So some challenges to where we're at now. Horseshoe Bay, we're still in 2015 on building codes. So there's some increased safety risk involved with that. A lot of the newer construction methods, you know, they're just beyond what the codes say. There's could be some inconsistent compliances. Builders can face confusion and inconsistencies. A lot of the people that work in Horseshoe Bay also work in Austin, maybe San Antonio. So Horseshoe Bay is a bit behind on the codes. Can also hinder the staff development. Development services staff are unable to achieve certifications tied to newer I-codes, limiting their ability to provide up-to-date guidance and oversight. Also, higher insurance rates. Insurance companies may charge higher premiums for properties built under outdated codes due to increased risk and higher cost of damage repair. And missed opportunities for innovation. Without modern codes, Horseshoe Bay is at risk of stifling innovative building techniques and materials falling behind the industry best practice. So our goals were enhanced safety and sustainability, promoting energy efficiency, improving the quality of life of Horseshoe Bay, maintaining national standards, plan for long-term resistance, climate resistance, fire safety, disaster preparedness, safeguarding future development. Regular code reviews. We want to establish a framework for continuous updates, ensuring the city's regulations stay current with industry advancements. We also want to support development services staff. Updating and staying current with newest I-codes allows staff to pursue relevant certifications, improving expertise, service efficiency, and then also encourage innovation. So the risk of updating, increased construction cost. Newer codes oftentimes require newer advanced materials. I will say, based on the committee and talking to most of the builders in Horseshoe Bay are not going to be affected by this. We're already doing it. You know, in our view, codes are the minimum, and most of us are well above what codes require. So I don't expect any increased cost to residents in Horseshoe Bay because of moving to codes. So, implementation challenges, you know, transitioning to updated codes. Most of the trades here are working in Austin as well. Most of the builders, where again, there shouldn't be a whole lot of transition period there. We do expect development services to kind of slow roll this and to get the word out that we are transitioning. So, pushback from builders. This is likely going to be from some of the bad actors that we're trying to get, that, you know, they may resist the change, citing increased costs or complexity in design. So, potential for confusion during transition, initial staff burden, and impact on smaller projects like renovations or smaller scale developments. Some feedback we got: most builders and contractors, like I said, are already building to the updated standards. The staff supports the transition as they need updated codes for certification to improve their expertise. ATS, they're prepared for the change. They're already working with the current codes anyway, so it won't be any burden for them. We were not able to gather any community feedback, but we anticipate support maintaining Horseshoe Bay's high standard, and also no promises, but keeping insurance rates, whatever manageable means these days. I don't know. So here are our recommendations to the council. The BRAC committee recommends the adoption of the 2021 International Residential Code with the following suggested amendments: windboard debris region, residential fire sprinklers, and the permit fees. This is probably something, the permit fees is something for staff that would probably need to talk about there. And then we also have proposed amendment language. The National Builders Association has gone through this process many times, and so we can provide that as well. We're recommending the adoption of the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code with the following suggested amendments. And this is really getting into the weeds in construction, so I won't bore you with it, but attic R value, the exception for testing ducts located inside conditioned spaces, interior lighting allowance, and design option for lighting controls. The main thing this does is remove the requirement for occupancy sensors and dimmers. A lot of clients don't really want that. They don't want the sensors. They don't want the dimmers. We get a lot of negative feedback about that. We're recommending moving to 2023 National Electric Code with a few amendments. Arc fault circuit interrupters being the main one. We would like this to be amended to remove the requirement from kitchens and laundry areas. I don't know if you guys live in new homes, but appliances really don't cooperate well with the new breakers that we're required to use. Refrigerators trip, washing machines trip, and it's really tough to tell a homeowner that just moved into a $3 million house, sorry, there's nothing I can do. It's you deal with it, flip the breaker, so we'd really like to have that amendment in there, and it's supported by the electricians as well. Kitchen receptacles on islands, receptacles near bathtub and shower spaces. Both of those are safety issues. We also are recommending to move to the 2021 International Building Code, the 2021 International Fire Code, the 2021 Plumbing Code, the 2021 Mechanical Code. We're behind on all of this. So. The 2021 Fuel Gas Code, the 2021 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, the 21 International Property Maintenance Code. That's going to allow, I think, development services a lot of leeway on people who aren't keeping up with the standards that we expect in Horseshoe Bay. So, yeah, code enforcement for sure. And then the 2021 International Mechanical Code. We're also recommending a regular review cycle. The committee suggests the 2 to 3 year intervals to ensure relevance, so we're staying up to date, so we're not having to make such a large jump in the future, that we can stay up to date. Next steps that we're suggesting are providing training opportunities, making sure that the builders and staff are giving access to training sessions, maintaining transparency and provide notice of changes, so all the builders, all the tradespeople, everyone knows that this is coming. We suggest partnering with the Hill Country Builders Association. They do a lot of lunch and learn type situations where they can bring people in to talk about codes and what the challenges could be for moving to the new ones. And then a phased or delayed implementation, which I assume you guys do anyway. I don't think you sign it and just say, okay, it's the law. And then ongoing monitoring feedback. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, builders are very opinionated. We're not afraid to give our feedback. And so I think the committee has been a good conduit for that. So we're kind of able to filter that out from the serious people versus the people that just like to complain. And so we would just like to have our voice heard if there are any issues come up. Committee. So in closing, it's not just about updating regulations. It's about ensuring that Horseshoe Bay maintains our high standards in building safety, sustainability, and innovation. By implementing these changes, we strengthen our community's infrastructure, safeguard our residents, and create more efficient and resilient city. I think that's it.
Rusty, thank you so much. And
Yep.
I see Rick and Tom here, and we chose this committee from the cream of the crop of
Absolutely.
Horseshoe Bay builders. And so we know we've got really good, good quality feedback and input. And I really appreciate all the time that you all committed to this project. And my question is, a year ago when I was a candidate for mayor, I promised the builders that I wasn't going to, that we weren't going to shove something down their throat without letting them hear about it beforehand. I think all of them, I'm sure that they want to upgrade the codes to a more current one, but I do appreciate the opportunity for us to let them know before we pass the ordinance, which will be coming around to some ordinances on this.
Yeah.
So however y'all can help us with that,
Yeah.
I do appreciate it.
And like I said, we plan to continue working. We've looked over the ordinance as far as the new disciplinary actions, and for them, I haven't heard any negative from the builders that I know. Again, most of the builders in Horseshoe Bay are professional,
Mhm.
they're good actors, and don't feel that we're targeted by that. So, and then we also have some ideas to help streamline development services and the way that we interact with them. Streamline for you guys how you review permit extensions, and then also working to build a bridge between development services and ACC and stuff like that.
Any way that we can create efficiencies and cooperation, I think it's a win-win for everybody. So,
All right.
council members, you have any questions for Rusty?
I had one. Timeline. I know we have to do somewhat of a rollout on this. Do you see this in 3 months, 6 months?
I think 3 months is what we discussed as a committee that would be fair.
That's good.
We might ask, where's Roy? Oh, Roy, do you have any input on that?
Yes, ma'am. The normal way we do this is to, instead of having an effective date, the date the ordinance is signed, is put a built-in delay of 3 months they're suggesting. Pass it and say the effective date is 3 months from now. That gives them the opportunity to get the word out.
So, okay.
I have one. We're basically advancing to the 2021 codes.
Yes, sir.
Correct? When is the next set of codes going to be coming out, and are we?
The International
behind
Code
the ball?
Council, which is the I codes as he refers to it as, they're on a 3-year code cycle. We always want to stay one code cycle behind as a maximum. If you go to the current one, you end up being the beta tester for all the errors that are in the code. It generally takes them about a year or two to weed all those out. So that industry standard is everybody's comfortable staying there. Most of the fire officials.
21 is even though another one's coming out in 24, I guess.
It did, and it's out, but we don't want to beta test it, so we'll stay one behind. So if we'll keep doing this every 3 years, we'll be exactly where we want to be.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? I appreciate the one that you all took out about the island. I think someone was telling me that they're not going to allow us to have plugs on an island because of the danger to children of cords hanging down.
There's
Like, that's not going to work in
we
Horseshoe
could
Bay.
talk for a long time about a lot of the things. Fortunately, you guys have. I saw David. He kept us at bay on a lot of this.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. And not only that, but we appreciate y'all's willingness to continue to work with us. I mean, it's great to have y'all here and helping us. So thank you very much. Okay, city analytics, website analytics, Dan.
Mayor and council, good afternoon. It's good to be here and report good news. So when I came here, we had the old website, and I can't remember how long that website had been in use, but Jeff and I, we took the initiative to redesign the website and do a complete redesign from scratch. And so here are the good numbers. Okay, we had 68,000 total users, And this is from October 23 to September 24. And last year we were at 45,000. So we achieved a 50.45% increase, which is phenomenal because that old website wasn't attractive. You didn't even want to click on anything in it. So we're very proud of that. And then we have about 47% mobile users with 51% desktop users. And that's pretty close to the national average, which is 43% mobile and 54% desktop. So that's what that is. Then the average time on the website is about 3 minutes, 3 seconds. And that generally indicates a high level of engagement on the page. So they're not going to the page and then scanning it and getting off immediately because they can't find what they're looking for. And then they're not staying on that page a long time to try and decipher the information that they need. So that's a positive aspect of high engagement. And that is a good user experience and potentially higher conversion rates. This is a list of the top visited pages, and this is number one, the current job openings, which was the same as last year. Number two, maps. Number three, permits. 4, development services. 5, the recent election. And number 6, the utility department. And then here are the top search terms. So people are going into the search box to find this information, and we have grinder pump, the organization chart, number 2, number 3, holiday schedule for trash collection, number 4, the irrigation water schedule, with 5 building permits and 6 grinder pump systems. So Jeff told me to come up with some action items to improve these searches. So as a matter of fact, we're coding we're going to start with utilities on a grinder pump video. That was very interesting that was the number one search term, was the grinder pump. Oh, and then we asked questions during the Citizens Academy, and that was a big question. They had, this was during the water plant presentation. The class had no idea what a grinder pump was. So that kind of brings this home and makes sense to me. So we're starting on a video. We're going to do an article. The org chart is on the website, and we're also going to put that on a forthcoming utility bill, and also with the holiday schedule for trash collection. And we're going to start sending out alerts before the holidays, so people will have that information, and then include that in the December utility bill.
Good.
Same thing with the irrigation water schedule. We're going to publish that through all available channels, alert, video, audits, and then building permits. Right now we're working with iWorks software, the new software for development services. We're going to put that on the website. And we just had a meeting yesterday with the iWorks software company with development services. So that's fixing to come, and that handles building permits, short-term rentals. That's our entire software suite. Is there anything else? Code enforcement, contract. Yeah, all of it. It's one turn solution that will be on the website. And then, of course, as I mentioned, number 6 is grinder pump systems. So that's got number 1 and number 6. So we're starting on that video next week, and a soon to come article. Okay, here are the top downloaded documents. Okay, we've got the communities map. Right now, we've got Jim Williams, our GIS specialist, working on a brand new map, which is going to be a new communities map. And we want this to be the cornerstone of our maps to indicate all of the facilities, recreational, retail facilities. Just like the resort has a fabulous map that entails the city and their portions of the resort. We're going to do the same thing and have a brand new shining map. And then ACC guide, we've already got that. Building permit applications, new software's coming. Again, number 4 is maps, city limits, and ETJ. And Jim's also working on revised maps for those. The FLUM presentation, that's the land use management map. And then number 6, we had the eclipse last year. And so that was the Lano guide was the top guide. Here's some information analytics on comparison of 22 to 23 and 23 to 24. As I mentioned, we're up 50% in the total users in the views. We went from 156,000 page views to 249. Average time was 3 minutes, 8 seconds. Now it's right at 3 minutes. And then the mobile users are down just a couple points, and the desktop is about the same. And then the top 6 pages are almost identical, except for a few differences on election information and permits. And the bids and development departments, those are all development services. So pretty much the same, except for the users and the engagement.
The user breakdown will change as internet gets further.
Oh,
developed.
yes.
It's going to be completely different.
Right.
So those numbers are all going to be changed.
Mm-hmm. We'll have, when we get fiber, we'll have to start a video production department to put videos to show everybody.
Okay, any questions, council? Thank you, Dan.
Are you getting any response on the find it, fix it, click it, stick it, whatever it is?
Find it, fix it. I don't really think that's on Dan's. I think
No,
that's more
that's
utility.
That's a
initiatives.
utilities initiative.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Appreciate it. So moving into the business section of the agenda, A and B are both appointing Board of Adjustments and Planning and Zoning Committee members. We're going to delay that vote until after our executive session, since those two committees are subject to the Open Meetings Act. We can discuss those in executive session, which we will do, and then we will vote and make those appointments after the executive session. So we're going to move to item 8C. Resolution 2025-11, approving and authorizing the conveyance of certain real property, being 3.3 acres land tract located in Burnett and Llano counties, to the Horseshoe Bay Memorial Association for public purposes, providing additional cemetery grounds and recreational trails. Jeff, tell us about this.
Yes, ma'am. A couple of months ago, we met with the newly formed Horseshoe Bay Memorial Association, Inc., which is a nonprofit organization. They requested, we had a parcel of land over in this area, and that was given to us in 2017 in conjunction with a trail that we had up there. And their intention was to expand the capacity of the existing mausoleum. And so they came to me, and we worked with them, and I believe I talked to y'all about this in past council meetings, and to get this the acreage that they needed to expand for their project. During this, we looked out at the piece of property. It's a 3.3 acre property. It's in the same state it was when we received the property. There's no restrictions on the property. And so staff thought this was a really good belief that this is a good use for the property. This is a unique opportunity for our city to provide a much desired use for this land. that's sitting there with nothing on it. And so I've been working with the surveyors and our attorney to develop the resolution and the deed to get this transferred over to the Mausoleum Association. So that's where we stand right now.
Okay, and council, you have on your dais, there's a one-page activity summary that Jim Jordan provided. He's a member of the Mausoleum Board. And you can just look through what they've done since June. But and on the back, which we asked for a budget. This is the page that you've got. And they gave us a budget, and I think they've done a remarkable job. It doesn't help to get an underwriter to provide for the construction of the whole entire thing. That doesn't hurt at all. But it shows that the community really wants this, and I think it's great that the city has an opportunity to help and to do something in this regard. Now, Jeff, what we have is a resolution.
Yes.
Don't we?
Yep.
Okay.
We're requesting that the resolution be passed as we've written it. Basically, donate the piece of property.
Okay, so we don't have I don't think we have a motion, but it's 2025-11. If first of all, council members, let's have a motion and then we'll have a discussion.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 25-11.
2025-11.
2025-11.
Okay, I have a motion from council member Weatherby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem. Now, is there any discussion, council?
Yeah, I think it's 2024. It may be a typo on that. So it's 2024-11.
Oh,
That's right. It's
We're in
the
20 yeah.
fiscal year.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Can't believe we're already up to 11.
I know. I know.
Council, do you have any questions? Nope. Okay. No further questions. We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. The motion carries. And we just really thank all of you for your service. I see Carol Rose is here as well, is on that committee, and we appreciate what you guys are doing for this community. It's much appreciated by us and the community. And please pass our gratitude along to Steve Jordan, former Mayor Steve Jordan, who has just been remarkable in getting this thing going. So we really appreciate all of you. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item D, application for abandonment of public right-of-way, Jordan Jaffe applicant. And we have a handout, council. It's additional documentation here for agenda item 8D. And then there was an additional letter that you were also passed, that was signed by Mr. Jaffe on 8D. So Jeff?
Yes.
you wanna tell us
Yes.
about that?
Last month at the council meeting on November 12th, I brought this up because Mr. Jaffe had requested that the land be converted to, it was a right of way that we had no improvements on. And he wanted to combine that with the lot that was there. And so I looked at our codes and we were able to do that. And at the same time, I was beginning to work with the resort on getting access easements for the shared path trail. And so it felt like it was a good trade to do that. So I worked with E, who was working the representative on this to get this done. And there was things in our code, which is in chapter 10.03.234, which in state law that allowed us to do this. And so we worked this as a trade. And as long as the trade was the value of the property was equal to or greater than, and with the trade of the easement accesses that we're asking along the pathway, the shared path, we're way far exceeding the value of this property to be converted and provided to the lot next door. So we went through the process of that. He has helped me get as the applicant to get the confirmation from the adjacent neighbor on the other side that would be affected by this, to get their permission basically to allow this to be traded over and to sign a document that says that he holds the city harmless from converting this over. So that was acquired, and then I had to get he got a appraised value of the property, which we do have, and that's included in there. So what we're looking to do at this point in time, we've been moving forwards with this, but again, asked the city attorney to develop a resolution, because the last thing that I have to do on this is to get the easements finalized. And so I have, there's in the exhibits, you kind of see where those properties are. There's 3 different resort properties where this shared path will go through. And what we're asking for is a 15-foot easement for that shared path. It's going to be a 12-foot concrete trail. Plus, we needed some construction easements. So some of these places along that, I'm working on getting the construction easements while we built the trail to have that done. And all of this is to ensure that when we put in our application this coming January, and then the consequent full application in June, is that we have as much shovel ready on the trail as we can. This trail also comes across the road and will go underneath the road now, which is one of the things that we had to push back on the community and TxDOT on. So we're working through that process now. But we're drawing these easements out. And these easements, it's very timely that we have these easements and we do a trade for these easements during this time period. And so I'm about, well, probably less than a month now, because I got some of the exhibits that we just kind of have to do some finalization on that and get the language to get the easements done. And then I'll go to Mr. Jaffe and have him sign off on that. And then we'll follow through with the trade of the property. And then it has to be replatted. And they're working on that as soon as if this resolution is approved, they'll be working on getting it replatted, which is also part of our ordinance to get that done within 6 months of the time that we approve it.
So what this is, well, I guess we need to change this to 2025 something, right, Dottie? 2025-12. So what, I mean, this was just handed to us, so I haven't read it. What does this resolution say? And I'll ask Dottie to explain to us what.
Yeah, it's basically, I'll kind of step in while she's looking at that. It's to allow the abandonment of the right-of-way according to our policies, and making sure that all of that, it follows the codes and the state law that are required for us to abandon that and transfer it to Mr. Jaffe to combine with the other lot. So that has to be done within the 6 months, and to allow me to finalize the easements and then acquire the easements for Jordan Jaffe before it actually is transferred to the property owner.
Who pays for the redo of the land deeds? I mean, the actual, once you put the easement in, it's going to have to be registered.
Yeah, we will. The city will have to do that.
So our exposure is how much on that? Roughly.
Well, it's just, we're doing we have to do a part of the trail is to get the easements anyway. So we have to do the surveying and then get the legal language for the easement.
Right.
We're in that process now, and it'll be about $15,000 to $20,000 by the time we get through with that.
So the trade is just for the property and all other expenses we incur from the city.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Do you have a guesstimate on how many linear feet this easement's going to be?
Well, I looked at it and compared it between the 0.15 acres to what the trail is, and it was about 0.15 acres to about 1.2 acres. So in the easements.
So this resolution just talks about abandoning a portion of the Ridgeway Drive. But the other very important piece of this is the trade for the easements. And Frank, to answer your question, as you know, we think part of the reason that we didn't get the grant for the shared use path was that we weren't shovel ready enough. So we were going to have to do this anyway.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I want to make sure everybody knows that
we will put all that in our grant application, and hopefully we'll get it reimbursed, but there's no guarantee of that. But where do we pick up the other side of this deal, Dottie?
The resolution allows the city manager to execute any necessary documents to accomplish
basically changing the deed. Getting the easements for the deed.
right. In section 3, On the second page,
Oh, okay, okay.
he has to get all property owners to hold the city harmless. And the abandoned right-of-way must be
But
permanent.
where does it talk about, oh, that we have to have the property owners hold us harmless on the easements as well?
Right, in the process. So
Okay,
it'll be
the
part
ones
of the
that we're getting back.
documentation. Yeah.
If,
And you've already talked with some of them. Is that, you talked with some of these?
No, we've
Yeah.
only, the only one
The
that.
only one that was adjacent to it is Mr. Alexander. And did get confirmation on a document for that. And then I emailed him just to confirm. And I did. So.
this cuts through through the property, who's going to be responsible for maintaining that part of it that they're not going to be able to use? In other words, here's the path, and on one side of the path, and then there's another side of the path. That side of the path can still be developed. But the side that will be closest to 2147, who's going to maintain that?
It'll be the cities. We'll
well-
involve the right of way, and most of ours.
But we don't own that, but we'll have to maintain it.
Yes, right. The pathway the city will maintain because it's a city community pathway, and so we'll
But if we-
maintain it. Most of it follows the edge of the road. That's why we kind of work with ADA, but we do get off in some of the out of the resort property. We start getting into some LCRA right of way property. Then there's some other owners. Cadis Banks.
Well, what I'm specifically thinking is, rather than splitting this property, why don't we take the full property? Because if something, I mean, if this pathway goes through and there's an owner that owns a small sliver on one side of the path and the main part is on the other part, why don't we just take the whole?
Well, most of the path is following the edge of the road.
So it comes within our right of way anyway?
It's close to the right of way or within the right of way. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But a lot of the right of ways like Pecan
then
Crossing.
forget about what I just said.
Yeah. So we're trying to make it to where there's the least amount of maintenance
what I'm
and it's
talking
close to the road.
That's what-
And then it'll follow 2147 once it goes down.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still confused because I haven't read this before, but section C, Dottie, it says, consistent with the city of Horseshoe Bay Code of Ordinances, after approval of the abandonment of the public right-of-way by this resolution, the following conditions must be met and satisfied. And property owners abutting the right-of-way must hold harmless, which we've already done that. We're talking about, at this point, we're only talking about the right-of-way up on Ridge.
Yes.
Okay, that's the one that we're
That's the one we're
giving. That's,
trading. Yes.
all abandoned right-of-ways. We're still talking about the one up on Ridge.
That's the only one that we're
I'm
abandoning.
not seeing where we're seeing the other side of this transaction in this resolution with the easements.
I think that's what she was reading a while ago, and not the.
And that's where I'm not seeing where that is. I mean, I'm not objecting. I just want to be sure that when we pass a resolution, that what we're authorizing Jeff to do is execute both sides of this transaction, not just the part that we're giving up, but also the part that we're acquiring in
easements.
exchange.
Right, and that's in section 4.
Okay, let me read that.
Wait a minute.
And that's what that says.
Yeah, that's what Exhibit B, which are the easements.
But
And Exhibit B is,
that's the other part. I mean, I understand your point, Elsie, and it makes sense. I see how it covers the Ridgeway, but I still don't, to your point.
It includes the documents of the easement.
I mean, Exhibit B is conveyance of an instrument for a closed ROW right away. And we're doing a quick claim for $10 for that on section 4. So I still think we might need to amend our motion to include.
That would be fine to do that, to make sure we define that it's the easements that are needed.
The exchange.
For their path as the part of the trade.
Am I missing something, Dottie?
So in section 4, after any other documents, you would want to say easements required for the shared path?
Yes,
That's
Just
defined.
to
that's what we're
define,
talking about.
Yeah.
define what
Right.
other documents are.
So where does it say other documents? Okay, so at that point, we would say including
The shared path,
easements.
Including easements required for the shared path.
shared path.
That's what I was trying to find.
What page is it? 120.
Oh, here it is.
Motion.
Oh, okay. It does, but maybe we should
I agree with,
still
should be in
include.
should be in there. Better to define it.
Including access easements
Other
required.
documents, including easements required for the shared path.
I think what we could do is just in this section 4, just say that we want to say include, and then just quote this part of the motion, including access easements along defined resort commercial tracts for the use of the community shared use pathway. Would that make sense? That way we've got it in both.
So instead of easements.
Sorry, council, we just got.
No,
Really,
it's a
you
great
could
point.
almost have additional recitals that simply say consideration for this shall include.
Well, we've got over here,
Shared
but we've
use.
got a draft of the $10, and that would be other valuable consideration, but this is just a draft, so that would be the consideration. But if we just put it in the resolution, probably the consideration needs to include that easement too, Jeff. When we get this draft to
Other good and
the
valuable
quit claim deed.
consideration, including but not limited to easements along.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it makes sense.
shared use.
Okay, so that's some discussion before we had a motion. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Including that? I don't think so.
So your motion would be to approve resolution 2025-12 and to add to section 4 after other documents, including but not limited to access easements along the defined resort commercial tracts for use of the community shared use pathway.
Yes, I agree.
Would anyone like to make said motion? You can just say the motion that Dottie just stated.
Okay, I will do it then. I'm not going to try to repeat.
Okay, I have a motion from council member Hosea. Do I have a second?
Second.
So the motion is that I move to approve the resolution 2024-12 presented by staff and city attorney
2025.
2025-12, excuse me, thank you, to abandon the Ridgeway Lane right-of-way for the trade of access easement along defined resort commercial tracts for the use of the community shared use pathway with the amendment to section 4 stating at the end of other documents to including access easements along the defined resort commercial tracts for the use of the community shared use pathway.
Well done.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition, so the motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Apologies
Appreciate it very
for
much.
making that complicated, but
Well,
as someone said, the devil's in the details, right?
that's right.
Okay,
Get it right.
so we move to something fun, public funds for public purposes. Molly?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. The Public Funds for Public Purposes City Council Subcommittee, which consists of Elaine and Larry, they reviewed requests from the CASA for the Highland Lakes, the Phoenix Center, and the Hill Country Children's Advocacy Center for funding from the Child Safety Fee Fund. This fund can only be used to support programs designed to enhance child safety, health, or nutrition, including child abuse prevention, intervention, and drug alcohol abuse prevention, or programs designed to enhance public safety and security. These three organizations meet these requirements. Therefore, they're eligible for the child safety fee funds. The fourth organization that was awarded these funds in 22 and 23, the Burnett County Child Welfare Board, declined to turn in their application for fiscal year 24. So the city has asked the Llano County Child Welfare Board to apply, and their application will be reviewed and presented at the next council meeting. The subcommittee, after speaking to Larry and Elaine, they're recommending the city approve the funding in the amount of $1,500 for each of the three organizations listed above. These are the same three organizations the city awarded the child safety fee funds to in 22 and 23.
Okay, thank you, Molly. Council members, do you have any questions? So I'll entertain a motion to approve this distribution. It's
I
on
move
page
to award
147.
award $1,500 each for the Phoenix Center, CASA for the Highland Lakes area, Hill Country Children's Agency Center for Child Safety Fee Fund.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Hosea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Morgan. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, the motion carries. Now you're still up there, Molly. Thank you.
All right, this is for ordinance 2025-05. The Texas Youth Diversion and Early Intervention Act was passed in the 88th legislative session. The act requires every municipal court to adopt a youth diversion plan, which is on pages 161, 164, and authorizes the charge of an administrative fee in the amount of $50. There is hereby created and established a local youth diversion administrative fund pursuant to Chapter 45 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Subchapter E, Youth Diversion, Article 45.312, Local Youth Diversion Administrative Fee. The Texas House Bill 3186, also known as the Texas Youth Diversion and Early Intervention Act, was established to help at-risk youth avoid the criminal justice system by providing early access to diversion programs. This includes earlier intervention, allowing judges to refer at-risk youth to diversion programs before they are convicted of certain crimes. House Bill 3186 requires every municipal and justice court to have a written youth diversion plan. Again, that's on pages 161 and 164. That includes strategic like educational and leadership programs, job training, and mental health screenings. The fund may be maintained in a special revenue account. The municipal court of the city is authorized to issue a local youth diversion administrative fee as provided for in the fee schedule found in Exhibit A, which is page 160. It's $50. The fee shall be assessed and collected from the child defendant's parents as specified, as set forth in Chapter 45, Subchapter E of the Texas Code of the Criminal Procedure. Each youth diversion strategy agreement shall be subject to a separate fee assessment. The fee shall be collected on acceptance of the diversion strategy agreement by both parent and child defendant. The clerk of the court may...
Molly, rather than just reading it, I visited with Jeff, and I'd like to just summarize it in the interest of time here
Right
for the
ahead.
council, because Beth Kuntz is our court clerk and will be the administrator of this. When I saw this item, I was like, what, are we creating a new program here? No, we're not. We're already doing this. When juveniles come into the court, they're already referring them to agencies to help them get help. This is, instead of them just paying the regular court fee, which they may pay, the big difference here is they pay $50, and they're going to be required to do community service. They're going to be required to do some things that are going to help them change this way of behavior, and they will not go into the criminal justice system at all. Whereas right now, they do go into the system, and when they become 18, they can ask for this this to be expunged from their record, but that will no longer be necessary if they agree to take part in this program. So it really won't add anything to our burden in terms of administering this program because we're already doing it. But I mean, I didn't mean to cut you short.
No,
But
that's fine.
basically, from asking Beth, that's generally what this does, and it is now a rule that we have to. The state says that we have to adopt this. So, do you all have any questions? No. Then there's a motion on page 157. If anybody would like to make it.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-05 as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Waddell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you very much, Molly. So then let's move on to, where are we? Okay, we're finally to you, Dorothy. We have a request for a extension of the building permit on 107 Keel Way, and David is going to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ms. Dorothy Hubner is run into some delays, additional delays with her project, and she has come to us asking for another permit extension. This would be a third permit extension for 90 days for $7,500. She does have some things she would like to bring to you, I guess, as notice of why this is occurring for her. She's had some issues with her contractors, and I'll just let her kind of explain.
That's okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, I've never done this before, so I'm Dorothy Hebner, and I am building a house at 107 Keel Way, and it has been quite an ordeal. I am here asking for an extension. We're actually going to finish the inside of the house and be done with the home this week. We are not able to pour the driveway, though, because I have unfortunately encountered bad actors that Rusty was referring to, the builder earlier, with dock builders. I'm on my second dock builder, and he is now off the job. The job is sitting incomplete. I've got to find another person, and we can't pour the driveway. The dock affects the wall on the water, which affects the swimming pool, which affects the drainage on the left side of the house, and which affects pouring the driveway. If we pour the driveway right now, it could get torn up with people going back and working. So I really, I'm just lost.
Kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upset, frustrated, not where I wanted to be. And I just don't know what to do. I don't know how long to ask. I had talked to Christina Reinhardt a couple of weeks ago, and she had said that because of the situation, maybe I could get a temporary CO, occupancy CO. That would be for 60 days, but I had to guarantee that I could be through in 60 days. I just don't know. Since the last gentleman is off the job as of the Friday before Thanksgiving, and it's at a standstill.
So I think the issue here with her project is that she needs a driveway in order to pass any kind of certificate of occupancy. So we may be able to pull some strings and do something regarding maybe some sort of temporary service, but that's going to be really hard to stretch that, because if we want the emergency services, I mean, if we grant us even a temp certificate of occupancy, it means that we're saying that this site is ready for human occupancy from the standpoint of emergency services, being able to get in there and tender, lend assistance. And so that access from the public way onto the property is important, that it's completed. And that's really what this is coming down to. Her other permits would go, the dock and the pool would go separate from the building permit anyway.
Right.
But the holdup is that she wouldn't be able to achieve the minimum requirements of the certificate of occupancy, even a temp, because we would require that driveway to be completed.
And it has to be a permanent driveway.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
couldn't be a nice gravel driveway.
Not really not even for a temp seal. We really want that finished, just because of the fact it could put the city at some jeopardy if we were to allow that and some major weather event occurred and we get an ambulance stuck in there and it can't serve the rest of our folks.
Let me ask a question. Sorry. Let me ask you a question. Is how likely is it that your driveway would get destroyed or because I mean, coming from the concrete industry, driveways are poured right along with the foundation, and they work, contractors work around that for 8 months. If they tear it up, well, they're responsible for replacing it. So, I mean, why is this driveway different than others?
Well, it's kind of at the front of the house. It's, the pretty much like a circle. It's not a big front yard area, and we have a very narrow area, probably 10 feet, I think, on the left side of the house. That's the setback to get back to the backyard area. And because of the lot that we're on, I've been waiting on structural plans for the pool for 3 months, and I'm supposed to get that tomorrow. They're saying that we may have to drive pilings because our lot is almost, the backyard is almost on water. So we're not building the pool just on land. I mean, it's water. They've dug it out. And so I may have to drive pilings. I'm not a construction guy, my husband is, but underneath the pool, and I don't have that structural stuff. So if they have to get back there and drive those pilings, I mean, I don't know the equipment. My son is in the building business, said, Mom, if we pour the driveway, and then if they went back to work on the back and tore something up, if we had to spend the money to get the driveway fixed, we could do that.
But would that be more than $7,500?
See, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But $7,500, how much does that get me?
Not
How
much.
long?
90 days.
Oh,
And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. I doubt I can get the back area fixed. I mean, I think what we're just going to have to do, if I could get the temporary CO, then I would just have to pour the driveway and figure out. I think I have to do the lamp post too. The light. The
Yes,
light.
ma'am, you would.
That's on there too.
Yes, ma'am. You
correct?
could pour your driveway and go for a full CO, get your lamp post in and cover that driveway with plywood, some sort
Okay.
of disposable OSB or
Okay.
something that's like a tongue and groove that could be temporarily put down on the ground, just as a suggestion.
Okay.
But that's something to think about, and that would preserve somewhat your new cement. But you would need
Okay.
to allow some time for that to cure before you put that weight on there.
Right. For
So
sure.
otherwise, it could destroy that.
And so then if we do digging on the side for drainage, we're going to be allowed to do that?
Yes, ma'am. Your drainage and needs to be taken care of for the CO. But what you could do is temporary that and get that to meet. Because I met with your builder specifically on that drainage back in,
Right.
I think, late July.
Right.
He had issues about it, and he was asking for some things that we weren't really willing to give on that drainage. So we want to make sure that is functional for you as part of this CO
Okay.
process.
Because we're lower than the houses to the
Right.
side of us, so
Exactly.
we're kind of in a swimming pool.
Exactly.
So we've done the right-hand side drainage, we've just got the left. We've got all the piping out there, everything's ready to go.
Right.
So,
Well, I'll tell you, the council has, we've got this schedule of extensions, and we just have not varied from it because it's just not really fair for us to say one we could, one we won't.
Mhm.
What we have done and would be happy to do again is said, if you look at this, and I don't know if you have this schedule of fees. 90 days for the third extension would cost $7,500.
Mhm.
105 days would be $8,750. 120 days would be $10,000.
Mhm.
If you went for, say, 120 days, which would give you 4 months, and then you only needed 90 days, we
Mhm.
would refund you the extra $25.
okay.
2,500.
Okay,
But if you went for 90 days and then you had to come back for a fourth permit
I know it's so
because you needed
expensive.
another
I
30,
know.
that's going to cost you 75.
I know, that's why I don't want to estimate
Yeah.
wrong at all. I mean, I saw
Yeah,
that, I
you-
studied that,
right.
graduated.
So you want to make
Yeah,
sure
so
that
I
you
want,
ask for
and
it.
it's just so many unknowns. Well, then, if I could do that, I think that will help me. If I could do the temporary and get this.
We can
60-day
approve
and-
this extension for whatever you tell
Okay.
us you want us to approve it for, and then you can work with David. And if you're able to get your temporary CO before your permit expires, when does it expire?
90 days. Well, I think this all started December 14th. It does expire on the 14th. So she's in plenty of time to get this in effect before it actually expires.
Okay, so if you can get this, if you can get with the department and get this temporary CO in place
Before
before you.
March 14th, I believe, would be our 90 days.
Well, no, the second permit expires December the 14th, David.
Oh, right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, ma'am. Got you. I see.
So if we approve an extension her permit that she's got expires on December the 14th. So she's, unless she can get something done in 4 days,
Right.
she's
That-
going to have an extension.
Right.
So, but the third permit for 45
Then
days,
that
there's
would
no
give me
charge.
I will definitely have more of an idea of what we're going to need to go, because I'm going to have to get the pool permit.
Because
So,
the
okay.
45, up to 45
I may not need an
days.
extension then if I can do that.
But see, am I reading this right? That the third permit for 45 days, there's no charge? I don't understand that.
That's
Well,
the,
Yeah, because if you come back for a fourth, it automatically ratchets up to 7,500.
Yeah, but why would 45 days for the third permit be no charge?
Well,
I don't think they're eligible for that. If it's got a dashed line, I think they're not eligible to ask for 45 days.
it's not a.
Oh, I see.
yeah, the way the appendix was set up for those fees, that was a way to create enough of a need to make sure you're willing to pay for that. And,
Okay.
and you wouldn't
So
get a lot.
the very least you could do was
Right.
60 days.
We're at that point.
Okay.
Well, to me, it makes the most sense to do the 120. And then whenever you get it done, where you get the CO, then we'll refund the balance.
Okay.
It depends on whether you want to spend $10,000 or $7,500. If you think you can get the certificate of occupancy within 90 days, then you can go ahead and go for the 7,500.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But can I get the temporary CO for 60 days? If I,
Well,
and then
you've
then
got some
do
hurdles
that.
you've got some hurdles you've got to get through before you can get a temporary.
But I mean, if I have 60 days to pour the driveway and do the lamp posts and the stuff that they need done.
No, well, yeah,
That has to be done.
Yeah.
60 days, that would cost
And
you
the drain-
5,000.
That's what
but-
Christina said, if I could get that for 60 days and I get that done, if he's saying I pour the driveway and
Yeah.
then if I have to have an extension, because that's the building permit, I've got to get the permit, the other's the pool.
You have a separate
and-
pool permit and a separate, well, you don't have your pool permit yet, right?
No,
Yeah, so you just
So-
have a dock permit.
right,
The dock permit, I think, was set to expire soon as well.
right,
So we'll need to look at that, but we're not
Okay.
really dealing with that right now. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Your other
Okay.
permits would be separate from this one. In order to
Right.
get you clear with us on the building permit, you would need to choose one of the allowed 60, 75, or 90-day
Okay.
extensions. Understanding that you would go for your full CO, temp or full, but you still have to allow for, the checklist is the same for either one of those. It's just that you can have certain aspects on the property for a temp CO regarding those other permits where you could still have the porta potty, a trailer for trash, that kind of stuff.
we're getting
Still
all,
have-
that's all leaving this week, yeah,
Right.
okay,
There you go.
okay.
So
Well-
do you want us to approve 90 days for 7,500 or 60 days?
I would say the longer, if I can get a refund for what I don't use.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
May I clarify something real quick? Because she keeps saying temp CO.
okay, that's what Christina told me
If
it
you
was
get a temp
called.
CO, I think you still have to have an active permit in place until you get final CO. It doesn't, so if you can get temp
Oh,
CO in
okay.
60 days, you can still need
Okay.
30.
Okay, I didn't understand that. Okay, okay. So then, yeah, if I, yes, I do the
Mhm.
longer one.
Okay.
6 months, right? Isn't that what you said?
Well,
120 days. 120 days.
120 days? or-
120 days would be
It was $10,000.
$10,000.
Okay, okay.
Okay, is that what you want us to?
Yes,
approve? Okay,
I
so
think
she
so.
wants us to look at a $10,000 fee for a 120-day extension. Does anyone have any further questions, or can I have a motion?
I move to approve Dorothy Hebner's requested third re-permit fee for 107 Keelway for 120 days for $10,000.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So you'll work with the Developmental Services
Yes, I
Department to get
will.
this work.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very
so
much.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, and I've learned a lot today, but I would like to ask one thing. Are y'all aware of the difficulty of, do you know any good, quality, honest dock people? Because if you do, I would like their names, because I've already been through two, and I'm going to have to go to small claims court to try to get, This last guy got me for a lot of money that he has defrauded me.
I
And
would
is still
suggest,
calling and threatening. And I just went to the police department before I came here.
I would suggest that
It's
you
not-
talk to David and to the department. I believe they can make some referrals to people they've had previous experience with. We do have a list of contractors have to be registered. That doesn't mean we're recommending them, but they have to be registered to work in Horseshoe Bay. So that's not part of what we do in council, but I'd suggest you talk to David and let him give you some ideas of people that you might call.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank
Surely.
you. Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Council, is there anything you all want to remove from here? Okay, so I'll accept a motion for the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, I have a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Morgan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Now we move on to monthly reports. I want to hear, I think we talked about, Ray was going to talk about a little something about utilities.
Mayor, Council, I'll make this quick given the time. So we are still in the recovery phase at Central Water Plant. Our repairs are ongoing. The plant is running at 100% with regards to the repairs that we're currently going through. We are receiving parts, and the parts are coming in. Some coming in quickly, some they have to build. So, like I said, given the situation and given the stage that we're in right now, the water demand has dropped a little bit. So that gives us a reprieve still while we're in winter watering conditions. Anybody have any questions?
We're pursuing against the.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have an insurance
Is
claim.
there a status on that?
We continue to compile numbers for that and present those to our insurance claim.
Do they know that we are going after them for these?
They are going after, they're subjugating against the trucking.
Our
companies.
insurance companies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, TML.
Okay.
Yes. Only other thing I'd say is, they just had a state inspection where they go in and do the inspection. They pass with flying colors, and that's really good after an event like we had. And then they had optimization team come in and said, y'all are doing great. So that's really good as far as confidence level with me having the plant staff where they are.
Thank you. We appreciate that we are up and going.
ma'am.
Thank you very much. Tim, do you want to give us an update on the roads?
Yes, Mayor, Council, I'll be brief. We're closing in on the completion of both of our major projects. The sod is laid down here. The fence company supposedly coming back in the morning. I met with him this morning. The electrician as well has got all of the supplies gathered. He'll start tomorrow, should be finished by week's end. We have 2 streets remaining. We paved just before Thanksgiving on 3 of them up in the Highlands area. So we have 2 streets left, Ponderosa Bend and Ponderosa Circle, which we should wrap up mid-January. That'll be a completion of this year's road project. We also, just before Thanksgiving, finished the seal coating over by the high-rise buildings over on, and we got the bike lane back down before Thanksgiving. So everything's going good for us.
Great. Thank you. And
Thank
I
y'all.
will say I've gotten so many emails and comments about the shoulders that we striped on Bay West Boulevard.
That's
People
awesome.
really, really like it. I've gotten, nobody said anything bad except why didn't we make it 6 feet? So it's been very, the feedback
Well,
on
again,
that's
that
been
was
very
just a
positive.
test.
Yep. That's
So
right. That's what
we're right on par for that one. We seal
Okay.
coat and relay it. Yes, sir.
I do have one. Can you give me an update on the deer?
That's
On
what
the
I was
deer?
just moving to
Graham,
that.
yeah.
That's Jason's department.
That's
Yeah.
Jason. Okay, I'm not sure.
Thank you, Tim.
So we've captured 38 deer so far. So we're kind of on track with the amount of time it took us to get the equipment and things.
First trap went out when?
It was, well, I mean, we had the trap out for quite a while, but we didn't have a trailer to transport the deer. So we got that our first, I think it was the second week of November.
Okay. So the
Our target for this season was
So,
200.
so 38 in how many days?
Oh, what would
Probably
that
about
be?
6 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Okay, because 2 days ago from my house on Long Mountain, you know where I am, to Bay West, I mean to 2147, I encountered 46 deer. Since I've been here, the deer population is the highest I've ever seen in the West. Now, it could be this, they're just running around this time of the year from rut, but I've never seen, 38 isn't enough. We need to be talking.
Our target for this year was 200. Now we have to the end of March to get that.
Where do you have
If we're going to expand our numbers, it's going to require more traps and more locations. So
And where are the traps now, Jason?
right now we've got one on Iron Horse and one on Cochise.
And I don't know where Cochise is.
It's off of Broken Arrow.
Off of Broken Arrow.
That's over the other side.
Oh, okay.
Going
And
towards
so
Broken.
are you going to leave the one on Iron Horse, or are you going to move it?
We're kind of moving it as long as, we see different numbers and things in the area.
How
So-
many of the 38, which one produced the most? Iron Horse or Cochise?
Well, we haven't been on Cochise all that long. So
So it's got,
I'm going to say Iron Horse on that.
You had it up at the Summit Water Tower
Yes,
first.
right.
That's the one you moved.
Right.
Well, when are staff reports going to be ready for tomorrow?
Yeah,
So
right.
I don't understand why we didn't have them before the council meeting.
Right. This is the 10th.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll be sending out staff reports, and Jason, that'll be in there, won't it? Will it?
No, I haven't included that. I mean, we're still, we haven't done that yet. We can.
I'd like to see it.
We're dealing, I mean, this is all, a learning process,
Mhm.
of course, but so.
I'd like to see that compared to what we did last year, compared to what, of course, last year wasn't, we didn't trap last year, but
Last
we
year we
trapped in
trapped.
2022,
No,
2020.
not since 20,
this is 20,
Yeah, we missed 20,
we missed.
20,
last 2
21.
years. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'd like to see it compared to what we did, each period for maybe the last 2 years that we trapped, the 2 most recent years that we trapped.
We've tried to get those numbers.
Jim-
Those numbers are inaccurate. We don't have good documentation on the amount of deer.
Yeah.
We had a permit number, but as far as what was actually.
Well, we know what
taken
we
in,
paid for. We paid,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
we have a bill.
We know what we caught per week, but we had 8 traps
Yeah,
where Jason
right.
has 2. We had more prime locations where he can't put those yet. So I think we're trying to experiment where we can put them, where the most deer are. And I understand what you're saying, Frank, but there has never been a trap between Long Mountain and 2147. There's nowhere in that area to really put a trap. So we tried to capture over by the fire station, where we got a lot of static from the people in
The hills.
the hills. So again, this is all kind of new. 2021, when we did trap, we had a lot of feedback from residents.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find those locations where we still see herds going through, but find a location to put the trap in. They're at a handicap right now because they only have 2 locations.
Well, I think what
traps.
Frank is emphasizing and what I'm saying is we're trying to evaluate this, and you are too, compared to how effective it was when we used the external.
Well, we're not, I mean, that's correct, but we're not really doing it in the same manner. We're doing it in a manner that's a lot different, with different capabilities and things. So
But we want to know what the results are.
we're just shooting for 200 this season.
So I'd still like to see we know how many deer we paid for, whatever years we paid.
Sure.
So let's get those numbers in October, November, December, January, yada, yada, and year to date, because that's what we prepared before, was we compared each one. Let's go, I mean, it may not be good, but let's go ahead and compare it, because if what we're doing is not effective, then maybe we need to go back to the other system. I think we just need to be, you know,
Augment it.
honest in how we're evaluating it and understanding that it's gonna take some time for it to get up to steam. But if two is not enough, then we,
Well, I think
Well, our
that's-
plan is
if you look
to
at
add
it,
a trap over the next 2 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, eventually we're going to have 4.
Oh, and that may
And
be
that's
that
when
we
we're
need to
looking at
speed
those.
that up.
yeah.
Yes.
That might be
Yeah,
the
right, we can.
That's
situation.
my point, because we're going to have, I mean, it is, if right now, if you drove Broken Hills,
Yep.
Apache Tears, Mount Leather, you won't believe how many deer are there.
Yeah. And we're, you know, of course I watched the deer too. And, for the last month, we weren't seeing a lot of deers, and all of a sudden we're seeing a lot of them. And I think a lot of it is the acorns are eating up, and now they're starting to move around. And right now we're in rut, which they're
Well, and that's, I
moving
think
them.
it's causing that
Yeah.
misperception because, you know, our deer counts were actually, you know, quite a bit less, probably closer to what the deer counts were in like 2019. But, you know, you're seeing them in an area, but there's different factors. There are acorns. You know, you're talking about the season of the rut and things. So whenever that ends, and it should end in
Yeah.
January, so we'll see those populations disperse in an area instead of being congregated. And I think,
Okay, well,
And
I understand that that report won't be out tomorrow, but if y'all could go ahead and prepare it and send it out to us when you get it ready for,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
guess that would be for November, October, November, whatever you, and then we can start tracking it and
Sure.
comparing it to those previous years.
Yeah, lastly, just Mayor, we can provide those reports. Renee can get the numbers that we trap per week in each month. But just please remember, it's not apples to apples
Yeah.
by any comparison. We had way more traps than Jason's capable of catching right now. So
but
just keep that in mind.
yeah.
But it may incentivize us in January to consider increasing
The trap.
the number of
Trap
traps that
count.
we
Yeah,
have.
That's right.
If
why-
that's
That's what
we
we'll be
feel
looking
needs-
at. And also we're looking at, I think we have a few new places. In fact, I visited with the golf course today about putting some locations where they kind of came in and said, this is a good place to put it. So we're kind of expanding that area out, especially around where you're talking about in that area, because there is small concentrations that have blown up in that area. And we do need to trap more.
All right, thank you. Thank you both. Anybody else have any other staff reports? Jeff, did you have anything to say? Okay, so it is 5:27. We're going to move into executive session. And then after the executive session, we will come out and vote on the commission appointments. So unfortunately, at this point, if you're not part of the executive session, you have to leave.
And
Council?
sure and say the,
Oh, I'm sorry. We're moving into executive session to appoint
and it's under Texas Government Code Section 551.
551.074 and to receive legal advice under Texas Government Code 551.071 and to discuss resolution regarding